Hey, Robert, thanks so much for being here.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be here too.
Yes. I have found when we started exchanging messages after one of the videos, I found your life so interesting, so awesome. And so it's a privilege to have you here. What I would like to do first is read the bio that you sent me, and then we'll just go from there.
Okay.
So your name is Robert Yowell, and you are married with three grown children and five grandchildren. You
Yes.
graduated from East Texas State University in 1975, and you were hired by the Dallas Police Department on February 2nd, 1976, Academy Class 141. After graduating from the academy, you were assigned to Southwest Patrol, where you worked for about 15 years, mostly on third watch. You then transferred to the school liaison until the DISD formed their own police department. You then transferred to the family violence unit, where you worked until you retired on June 9th, 2009. Upon retirement, you quickly realized that you had lots of free time and needed to do something to occupy it, preferably something that would pay for itself. So you started a cattle business. You then realized that you didn't make much money raising cattle. So you
No,
started looking for something else and you
yes,
started
ma'am.
beekeeping.
Yes, I did. Bees pay for the cattle.
You got your advanced level master beekeeping certification, your master gardener certification, and started Combine Royal Honey. What's good with that is your wife helps you. Y'all working together, you sell honey and she makes products from your honey and your beeswax. She also helps with the harvesting. When our pension started having issues, and the fact that none of us trust the city or state to fix it, you got a job during the summer months at the appraisal district, where you chair a committee that hears property appraisal appeals. All of these activities are easy to get involved in and are rewarding in their own way, financially, physically, and mentally. In addition, you give presentations to community groups on beekeeping. And that sounds like a pretty busy, well lived, well rounded way to spend your time. So,
It's yeah, I really enjoy it.
okay.
And
And for
go ahead.
anybody listening, we have kind of a lag here on the camera and sound, but we're just going to make the best of it. And if anybody says that we have a little bit of mirth going between the two of us, it's because it took us almost 30 minutes to get our Zoom actually going between everything tech that could happen. And we were laughing the whole time. So we're just approaching this as we're going to make it work. Robert, you have so much to share with people. And so we will put up with a little bit of lag and a little bit of tech issues. While you and I were talking before the recording, we were talking about where we worked and where our careers might have overlapped. Because I'm a Southwest girl, also. It's my absolute favorite assignment. I spent most of my career of any place that I was there the most. And you shared a very interesting story of that is actually, you didn't just work there, but you grew up there. So you're a true Oak Cliff boy. Could you
Correct.
tell us something about that?
Yeah, I grew up there. I went to Kimball High School. And I lived in Oak Cliff before we moved where we live at now. Uh, yeah, my father was a middle school principal at Oak Cliff. It was a ninth grade school when he was first started there and went to an academy. It's Atwill's over in Reynoldston and Polk Street on the corner. And he I'd even get up and would I worked evenings most of the time. I would substitute school classes. I substituted Kimball High School. I substituted at a few elementary schools, and most of the time I do it at my dad's junior high school. And so you get to know a lot of kids there with a lot of different reputations.
Mhm.
And it worked out really well on calls I go to, because it could be a tense family violence situation. I walk in and the kids would go, "There's Mr. Yao. He's from school." As far as they knew, was principal. They didn't know I was just substitute teacher, but it helped. And yeah, I just like that. I knew a lot of people. from actually city manager Dallas's kids went to that school, and it's kind of got to know him. And at one time, the chief of Southwest, I grew up with his kids, so it was Chief Ryan. And but anyway, so it was a really nice place to work. I had good people to work with and excellent people to work around. Can't complain about anything. I left there, same thing. Went to the schools, couldn't ask for better supervision or work environment, and then came time to move from there. And I went family violence, and it was busy, yeah. But man, you walk in, it's time to go home, and felt like 30 minutes. It was 10 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
But I can't complain about my career with the police department. It was very good.
You know, I always wonder when I talk with the significantly younger officers, or actually no matter what job they do, I always wonder if they're like in their first couple years of a career and they already have so many complaints. I'm like, are you really going to do this for 20 or 30 or 40 years? I mean, why are you doing it? If you can't tell us anything positive about it, why are you doing it? I just don't, it is just beyond me. And so as a retirement life coach for first responders, I have had clients tell me that they knew in the first couple years that they absolutely did not want to stay in that career. And they stayed in it for 30 more years. And I'm like, why did you not leave? And they said, I couldn't leave. And then we have to have the conversation of, is that true? Well, I had a house payment. Well, you can make money another way, you
Right.
know, and all that. But it goes back to the other comments that you and I were talking about earlier, and in our messages back and forth, that, you know, we are responsible for creating our life, you know, and you used the word destiny, and I refer to it as our life plan. So could you share with us the stuff in your own words that you have done since you left police work?
Well, since I left police work, you have there's a lot of times, especially my wife was still working and my kids they're all gone. They live in different states. I got one in California, Florida, and Louisiana. So I just sitting around, you know, just so many times you can mow the yard and walk the dogs. So and you know, I had horses, but you know, that's you know, you still got a lot of time in the day. So I had to do something. And I decided I'd always messed with cows off and on through, even when I was on police department. And we have a lot of family land down in by Canton. So my dad got to the point where he was elderly and he's aging out. So I kind of took over the cattle operation down there, which was good. You know, a couple of years you do okay. Most of the time, cows only help you out on your income tax. There's a huge expense, and you have, like right now they're very expensive. You make some, probably this year I'll make some money. Usually you do good to break even, and if I do my year you make money, you don't make a lot of money. You just do a little bit. So I decided to when I was little, I used to help my grandpa with his honeybees, and I wanted to do that. So I went. Beekeeping's changed since the 60s and 70s and even 80s and early 90s. It's open borders brought a lot of things to this country besides our free trade. They brought a lot of diseases that they used not to have to deal with. So I went and enrolled in the master beekeeping program through the Texas Apiary Services. You got to go through Texas A&M University, who teaches it. And I went and got my advanced level certification, and bought me 3 beehives, and it's kind of gone from there. You know, the people always call me wanting to get them out of houses, and I did that for a while, and then that's the hot, sticky, messy job to do during the summertime. So usually I have people I call, unless I know them, I'll go get them. Or if it's a swarm of bees in their backyard, and the people are scared to death of it. A swarm of bees is not, they're very docile. And that's a good way to pick up an extra hive, by the way. Mm-hmm. So I do that, and now I got about 20, 25 hives, and still honey. We call it combine royal honey. I pull the honey supers, and my wife helps me extract it, and then we process the beeswax out of the comb you cut off to get the honey out of the. It's a process you go through, and you got to filter the wax and get it usable. And she makes products: lip balm, heel balm, candles, beeswax candles, face skin cream, and sugar scrubs, all kinds of stuff out of the house. That's what she does. And then the debacle with the pension came up, and we weren't going to get any more cost of living adjustments, and at least was in my lifetime. So I got appointed to be on the appraisal review board of Kaufman County, and that's goes from like May to about the middle of August. And you hear citizen complaints about their property appraisals and deal with that. And I've never been called worse things in my life than from people that appealing their property appraisals, because it affects their tax rate and all. And you try to work with them, but sometimes they're not real happy. Reminds me a little bit of the reception on the police department. Some of the people don't like going to jail. Same way. But you work with people, and sometimes you can really help them out a lot, and that gives you a good feeling. And there's nothing like the feeling you get after you've worked your bees and processed all your honey, and you see it there. Same with cattle. You got 50 rows of hay out in the field, and you get them all in and put them in the barn. You just get a lot of relief and satisfaction that you don't have to worry about feeding them their hay for the winter. You've got it collected. And then take a load of cows to the sale barn and wait and see what your check's going to be. But that's how I spend my time now. That and talking to garden clubs, homeschool cooperatives, and library. Public libraries have a lot of times will set up speaking engagements. Most of them they go through master gardeners. I'm a Kaufman County master gardener, so I'm on the speakers bureau. So they'll call me and see if I'll come up there and do it. And that's how we spend our time.
So the coach in me, the retirement coach in me, I mean, I want to like tick this box and tick this box, because you're hitting all the things that we want anybody to do in retirement, but especially first responders, because we do bring some extra into retirement. We do bring some drama, some trauma, some things that happened, some things that were done to us, things that we had no control over, etc. And we do have to still live with that. And when you're finding ways to be productive, have purpose, serve others, be part of community, learn, grow, that does help us combat the very unfortunate aspects of retirement, the depression, the divorce, the alcoholism, the suicide, stuff like that hits all areas of retired men, but especially, the first responders. But I have to tell you that the thing that thrilled me the absolute most about this is when I was reading your deal about the bees. When I was assigned to the academy, I was assigned to the basic academy as the commander out there. And we had a temporary building that we would use for training for the scenarios and stuff. And the whole back wall had honeybees. But then there were wasps up in the front. And so I wanted to keep the wasps away from the honeybees. Yeah, I wanted to keep the wasps away from us and the recruits also. But my main thing is I wanted to keep the wasps away from the honeybees. And we searched and searched and searched, and we ended up finding some retirees who you might have even have helped learn how to do this. But they came out and looked and said, we can definitely move this. We can't do it right now, that we need to wait a couple months to do it, et cetera, et cetera. And so I'm hoping that happened after I left, because we spent a lot of time. We tried to get the city to pay for somebody to come do it. And they said, just spray it with bug killer, spray it with bee killer. And we're like, absolutely not. I mean, it's like the whole back wall was a honeycomb, and they want us to spray that and kill it. But then my mom down in Cibolo, right outside of San Antonio, it's the funniest thing. She had a little bear statue, right, holding a fishing pole, and there was a hole in the back of it. Well, the honeybees took over this bear statue, and I thought that was just so funny, but took it over. And they would swarm the backyard, and nobody ever got hurt by it. But my mom was afraid to go out there, and she didn't want the dog to go out there. And so she searched and searched and searched, and she found a fella who came down from the hill country at night, dusk, almost dusk, and said, "Can I take the statue?" She's like, "Absolutely." So he scooped the statue into a barrel, I think she said,
Yeah.
and put it in the back of the truck. And she said that she still saw a couple hundred, like as he's driving away, a couple hundred were following, behind the truck. But when he got a hold of her later on, I could think a couple months later, he said that the hive was thriving up on his land in the hill country.
Yeah, that's pretty. You can do that. He just took the whole hive out there and just relocated, and probably left it in that bear. And the only way you're gonna get out of it is to tear into it, and you don't do that. Now that hive's gonna swarm. It swarms. It's gonna swarm into a ball. The first time it's gonna be the old queen. She's not gonna fly very far. So if you pay attention, you can catch it. You can set out a trap to catch it, like I do, or you can see them in a ball hanging on a tree limb somewhere for a couple of days to looking for another, and you can get those and set them into a hive that you can get honey off of.
I just think it's, I'm a hippie at heart. I'll be the first to admit, but the thought of first responders helping the whole world through gardening and through beekeeping and all that, I mean, that's just so awesome. And in my coaching business and in my essential oil business, sometimes I think I help people more in that than I did in 30 years as an officer.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a couple of guys that recently retired that I've helped them set their beehives up, and they're doing pretty good. I mean, they get honey. They even have honey to sell this year, I think. So
That
not
is
as good
so
as my hives, and I let them know that my honey's the best. But I tell everybody that you ain't had combine honey, you ain't had any honey.
I'm going to have to get some of that. I absolutely have to get some of that.
Oh
But you
yes.
have to, I know that you probably don't want to admit it, but I think that we should at least acknowledge that what you're doing to take care of yourself and your family, to take care of your own wellness and well-being and health, you are serving others. You are helping others.
Well, I try to. In fact,
Yeah.
I get called. I got someone just sent me a message that popped up here. Want to know if they could. I'm sure it's about bees somewhere, but it's people call you around either want honey or help with their honeybees. I had a guy call me the other night. He's teaches at Baylor Dental College. He has a few beehives I've helped him with, and then he noticed a hive on his chimney on his house. So I told him to send me a picture. I said they probably didn't swarm. He's probably got a hive in there behind the fascia board.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another issue. I'm not going to climb on top of his house to get the hive. Not now. Well, I might have done that 20 years ago, but no. So, and that's
yeah, but you're also helping people that you don't even know, because I mean, I don't think anybody can argue our need of the honeybee,
yeah.
And then every time you go and make a presentation, I lead classes at our church and at our library out here in Mansfield also. And, I've had people not say a word in class, but they email me later or they text me later, or, somebody else tells me, hey, so-and-so was in your class and said this. And I'm like, we are still serving. We're still serving in our own way. And
Well, I
that's
think
the beauty of it.
Yeah. It's a way of life. It's what you've gotten used to. So, and you're used to public speaking. How much public speaking experience you think every time you answer a call in a
Every time.
situation, you got public speaking experience. So I'm not scared. You're not scared to talk to people.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
helps.
I'm currently taking a lot of classes on energy healing, chakras, stuff like that. And I'm always told by people, man, you have really good energy. You have really good energy. And I was trying to think of where that might have come from. And I almost wonder if it came from being 120 pounds, talking somebody into handcuffs. I was never going to be the big badass, right? but I could be the person that nobody wanted to beat up. You know what I mean?
A lot
I,
easier to
I
talk. A lot easier to talk them into jail than it is to fight them.
absolutely, absolutely. You know, I could be the person that the guy's apologizing on the way to jail. He's apologizing to me for what he did, you
There you
know,
go.
and I look back on that and I'm like, I didn't even, I mean, it was a survival tactic, obviously, but and then plus I do honestly respect people, even the people that I was arresting. You know, I had a job to do and I had to do my job. I don't know how their life has gone, et cetera, et cetera. But I look back now and I think that's serving me now in retirement also. I think it's helping me in my coaching business, but then also just in my relationships because I have
Yep.
time for relationships now. You know, I have time to spend with other women, not just, you know, at a Bible study or, you know, whatever. I actually have time to go have coffee and tea with them or to have them over to the house. And um, it's nice to find the skills that we used. There's a lot of people who, when they retire from police work, they don't actually leave it. And they still
Right.
do all the same things in their next job. And I support them 100% if that's what they want to do. I didn't want to go that direction. So I'm
Nope.
finding my other skills that I honed to use in my life. Is there anything that you would share with other first responders approaching retirement or in retirement?
Well, I would just say that it's really important to have something lined up that whether you're good at it or not, that you can work on. Whether I know guys that they barbecue, and one guy makes his own barbecue sauce and sells it, and other another friend, he's a retiree. He's really good at leather crafting and stuff like that. And it doesn't have to be beekeeping, it doesn't have to be cattle. It can be, you can get to, I mowed for a little while, I mowed yards just to have
Mhm.
something to, because I want to sit, if you sit around, all you got to do is think about what's wrong, and that's bad for you. And I like to do something positive. Puts you in a lot better frame of mind. You and your spouse have a better relationship. Now you can find something y'all can do together. That's even better, because I tell her she's the executive vice president in charge of things that I don't really want to do. Like, I don't like to cut the the wax off. You pull it out of a box that's in a frame and also has a wax seal on top of it. Well, you got to take a hot knife and cut that off. I really don't like doing it. I don't mind doing the hot heavy work and moving in there, but she takes it out and then cuts that off, and it goes into a pot, and it drains. Honey goes in there too, and it drains. You filter that out, but then she hands it to me, and I put it into a centrifuge and you spin it. But she does that, and she does all the bottling, labeling, and she makes all the products. So we kind of do it together. And that really,
Yeah, yeah. I was teaching a group class one time, leading a group class, and I asked the question of, "Does your spouse still like you?" And the looks on people's faces were just like first of all, it was like whatever. Then you could see them thinking, oh, yeah, I haven't really, you know, taken care of that relationship. They just assumed that
mhm.
it's going to continue. And it's very unfortunate how many marriages don't survive retirement.
Yep.
It's unfortunate. Now, it isn't unfortunate if both individuals are able to go on to who they need to be with and have a nice long life, right? That's very fortunate then. But it's unfortunate when it happens because nobody was taking care of it because they
Mhm.
didn't think about it. You know,
Right.
that's where it's sad. But I have the big question for you now, sir. And this is the
Okay.
question my husband, Todd, who is actually still an active SWAT officer, 33 years. He's going to retire probably in 2 more years. So I've been retired now 3.5 years, and he's probably going to retire in 2 more years. But his question is that he always likes me to ask our guests is, how do you want to be remembered?
I just like this is something my grandfather always told me. He wanted to leave here as better place than it was before he got there, wherever he went. And I've always tried to do that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works and sometimes it might not work, but I try to do the best I can.
Yeah. What a beautiful intention. What a beautiful intention. I thank you so much. I thank you for the relationship that we built through the messages back and forth and for your conversation today. I know that there are people who maybe they never want to do anything with bees, but they might be thinking, heck, if that guy can do bees, I can do ABC or 1, 2, 3, right? That had nothing to do with police work. And I appreciate that very, very much. And for all of our listeners, I will have your name and the name of your company in the description. Even though you only sell your honey, if I understand it correctly, that your honey and your wife's products, you kind of just do it locally in the area by word of mouth. But you are on Facebook when you have products.
Yes, we're on Facebook. There's a place out here called the Wetlands, which is an environmental kind of research center. It's in the river bottoms. It's pretty neat, really. They have all kinds of educational stuff out. They have gifts. They sell our stuff in the gift shop there too.
Okay. Okay.
That's on.
Excellent.
As we go to shows, usually not unless we're invited, we might go. But it's like I say, you got a product that's good enough. You don't have to. We don't have to advertise it very much. And
Right.
honey is very lucrative. It's how much work you want to put into it is how much you get out of it.
I
And
love it.
it's like I say, it's mostly a summer fall deal, and then around this time of year, Christmas time, people are buying stuff.
Mhm.
But it's a good deal to get into. And one day they're not going to be able to lift bales of hay forever. And you can do. There was a guy in our bee club that was in his 90s one time. That's another reason about that. So you can look at it. Yeah, there's ways you can do to make it lighter and enjoy. But he was in his 90s and he was still keeping his bees. So we can do this for a long time. That's what me and wife both were talking about. That we can do it for quite a while.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so
Sure.
very much.
You're welcome.